Hey guys, what up? It's your boy Con TDK, Mr. So Real. And in today's video we are going to do some more good or garbage epic fail. And we're going to try and see if there's anything in the dark zone and with the vendors that is worth picking up. I know that the state of the game came out a couple days ago, and really and truly it was so half-assed that I just decided I didn't even want to make a video about it. I put on Twitter that I think it's kind of ripped for PS4 players. I think console players and especially PS4 players are getting a very raw deal. But if you guys want to hear my thoughts on the state of the game, leave a comment in the comment section, let me know. Otherwise, let's get into some of this good or garbage. Let's see if there's anything in here worth coming into the dark zone to check out and checking out these vendors to see about. A little bit of a spoiler, it's not as good as last week, but there's a couple things in there that you know, if you're a beginning agent, you may want to take a look at, or even the middle of the road. Oh, strikers. Well, at least it ain't Lone Star. Gotta be happy about that. Alright, let's get this. Well, this isn't gonna work. It's all these people doing, jumping in the sea. Okay, let's back out.
Sorry you didn't see anything you liked.
With the special equipment vendor, we again have the historian with a rather pitiful 157 headshot damage bonus. We have the black market RPK. Not horrible, but not that great. Wouldn't really recommend it for the newer agent. But what I would say that you may want to take a look at is this Scar L. If you are a middle of the road agent or even a newer agent and you are still looking for that 204 weapon of your dreams, the Scar L may not be the best of the best, but when it comes to the assault rifles, the Scar L is pretty damn good, especially for that PvE content. It has a 21% enemy armor damage. It comes with accurate. Accurate is probably one of the most underrated talents for ARs. Not too many people talk about it, but trust me, as someone who has used ARs and enjoy them, I would say accurate really helps you to land those shots and make sure that they go where they should go and count in getting those enemies down. Self-preserved is another favorite perk of mine, favorite talent of mine. I enjoy knowing that if I do some damage to an enemy, if that crit pops up, I get 3% of the damage dealt back as health. And that is always a good thing. Commanding, not really the best skill. I would say try to re-roll that talent and get something better. If you can get something like brutal or deadly or even destructive to help melt through those enemies in the PvE world, this would be very good for you. Make sure you deck it out with the right talents. And just as a side note, the Scar L is modeled after the Caduceus, or vice versa. Caduceus is modeled after the Scar L. So if you like that type of auto rifle, then this is a very good one to go after. The pistol, we might as well skip that, nothing worth talking about. The vest, giving overheals to every skill. I don't really see this working. It's not really a great perk, but you can always trust that if you're going to run with an AR, the Predator's Mark set is not too bad. Scavenging is booty at the moment, so I really wouldn't say that you invest too hard in this, but you know, if you're going to do something for a gear set, you might as well go for one of those. So let's go down into the underground and see what's going down in the terminal. Alright, now we're down in the special equipment vendor section. We have the historian with even worse headshot damage. We have a shotgun that is not horrible, but this SOCOM M1A has kind of sparked a little bit of my imagination. We have 155% headshot damage, and that's not really what I'm looking at. If you're a middle of the road player or a beginner player, this may be something you want to think about if you have one very key gear set. Now it comes with adept. Using a skill increases your critical hit chance by 8.5% for 5 seconds. It also has toxic being one of my favorite sniper perks, just because I love watching them stumble around blindly. But it comes with trained. Now if you have the dead eye set, critical hits increase signature skill resources by 0.1%. When you really start to think about that, if you always, oh, hey, pink jacket, slow down. Okay, now if you have always critical hit, oh, god damn it, it's busy today. Okay, so if you always have your critical hits proccing, this means you will always be getting your signature skill, which means you can use your super that much more. This may be something you want to think about if you're running with a group, or if you're worried about getting jacked. You may want to have your super up and at 'em as fast as possible. This is not bad. Now when we start to think about the gear sets, this Predator's mark is a lot better than the, I think it was a bag that we saw before. This is much better because you have damage to elites. Hey Mr. Guy. And in terms of this Hunter's Faith, this is not bad. If you are a 191 or an agent that's just kind of starting out, having this extra armor plus having 47% more ammo capacity is a good thing. The rest of this stuff I don't really recommend, but if you are a newer agent, try to think about maybe this Hunter's Faith vest, maybe the Predator's Mark mask, and definitely consider, if you have the dead eye, no matter which level you are, this SOCOM M1A. This may be pretty interesting for you. Alright, so let's move on. Yeah. Alright, so let's move on to the special blueprints vendor. Now these are the blueprints that kind of don't change. This is for middle of the road agents. This is the 214 variants on most of these blueprints. This changes around a little bit every week, but yeah. There's nothing but blueprints here, so you guys can come and check these out. Generally, I don't see anything too amazing for the higher end players, but for beginner players and newer players, there's a lot of good stuff in here for you to check out. So take your time and go through it and see what they've got. Now let's go into the underground for the people who paid that money and see what kind of stuff they have down there. In the underground, we have a lot of the same stuff. Again, as I've said before, I cannot recommend pretty much anything in the underground for the advanced player, just because you have to be rank 44 or 229. The only thing that I can kind of suggest is, if you are a rank 40, then go for the blueprints for the 268 gear set blueprints. Go for these, just grab them, get them out of the way, have them in your stash, so that, you know, if you want to craft something later, you can, or if you need to finish out a set, you have it available. In terms of the weapons, there's nothing that really stands out. You have an enhanced PP19 with swift, dominant, and hurried. Yeah, you have another one with fierce, capable, and hurried. Garbage. And then if you are a kind of beginner agent, the Paratrooper SVD is not bad. 161 headshot damage is pretty good. Accuracy is dominant is and decisive is garbage. Now if you're talking about the PP19, this rank 5, if you're a newer agent and you don't really have too much and you're in the 163 bracket and you've made it to rank 5, and you need something, I still wouldn't recommend it. It's garbage. No, don't do it. I can't recommend that. So there's really nothing down here. I really can't for the life of me see what's going on with this underground vendor. There's really nothing that's balanced in a way that makes sense for players from a beginner standpoint or even an advanced standpoint to waste the Phoenix credits and attain the underground rank to pick up this stuff. It's just not worth it. So let's go on to the DZ and see what they've got in there. In DZ2, if we're talking about the newer agent, honestly there's nothing here that I would recommend. just because the rank 25 item only comes with accomplished. And yeah, I can't really say that newer agents would want to push to get that. For the more advanced agent, the only thing I can really see here would be the 229 rank 90 backpack that has specialized, which gives you 15% firearm of your firearms and stamina to skill power, so you have a little more skill power to get those heals back up, get that smart cover back going, and get your pulse to do more damage. Other than that, there's really nothing else to see here. The blueprints that are available for the rank 50 204 version are stamina, electronics gloves, and stamina mask. So you have the stamina backpack, electronic vest, electronic gloves, and the stamina mask. Other than that, nothing really to see here. So let's get on to DZ3 and see what weapons they have this week. In DZ3, for the weapons, for the new agent, the only thing that I could even come close to thinking about would be this shotgun. But when I really take a look at it, having dominant, ferocious, and commanding, I'd have to go with a nya. It's definitely not worth it because you can't get those stats to all proc. It's very difficult. In terms of the weapons that you can buy outright, not really anything that's jumping out for me. The hunting M44, personally, I'm not too fucked over about. This isn't that bad actually. Getting competent with weapon damage increased by 13.5% after using a skill. Toxic and vicious. Vicious, depending on how much health you have and how aggressively you play as a sniper, could be either the make or break for you. Toxic, I'm actually a big fan of. I like Toxic just because it does more crowd control, and there are very few weapons that do crowd control straight off the bat. Getting down into the weapons, what we have this week are the Valkyria as usual, the tactical AUG A3P, and the custom M44. So if you need that M44 or if you need an AUG, it's your week to step up and get that 204. This is pretty much about it, so let's move on to DZ4 and see what other things they have there. In DZ4, this is probably the worst case scenario. We have performance mods in the first and second slot, neither of which I can recommend. And for the newer player, we have an advanced firearms, which only has disrupt resistance. Kinda lame. Straight garbage. We have the electronic gear mods blueprint, and we have a firearms gear mod blueprint. If you need some of those, then go ahead and pick that up if you're trying to buff up your armor. But other than that, not really a lot to see here. Can't really recommend you getting just to level 50 just to buy this 236,000 credit blueprint. It's not looking too good over here. Let's move on to DZ5, see what attachments they have for these weapons, and check that out. In DZ5, really there's not too much that I can recommend for the veteran player, but for the newer agent, if you're still rocking purples, this headshot damage and critical hit chance scope might not be too bad for you to get your purple weapons up to snuff. Other than that, for advanced agents, there's really nothing to see here, but I'm sure you guys already knew that. The CQB scope is not bad. It gives you headshot damage. If you are in the market for that, you may want to pick it up. The quick release magazine, can't really recommend that. It's not that great for pretty much any weapon. There are much better options out there. So let's move on to DZ6, get out of all of this garbage and see what they have to finish it out. Alright, in DZ6 we move on to the gear sets. If you are a newer agent, it is more recommended that you try to invest in the gear sets than trying to invest in the high ends, just because you get more bonuses from these. We have the gloves of the Nomad, final measure holster, final measure knee pads of the Nomad, and the Alpha Bridge chest and mask. You may want to look into these. For the more advanced player, none of this stuff is really going to suit you. You can get much better things from the DZ, and if you're rank 50, there's really no reason for you to look towards a 214. there isn't much that I can say for this week's good or garbage. There's a lot of garbage and a lot of mediocre stuff going on. So until the devs decide to introduce the 229 high-end weapons into the loot pool, or at least for the blueprints, it's not really much that you can do for buying things outright unless you have the underground season pass. If you don't, you're kind of stuck with the 204s, which is really lame, and I think it really creates a giant divide between the players who want to play and the players who paid the money just to get some of this somewhatly new content and try to get some of these weapons. And even to get those, you have to be like rank 40 in the underground, and that's not really feasible. It's kind of a waste. So this has been Con TDK, Mr. So Real, and until the next video, I'm out.
Con. Con.